After Blamire, Foggy and Seymore have left and Truly becomes the third man, there's still room for a suggestible buffoon. So enter Billy and later Alvin. For good measure and transport, we also meet Entwistle. When Clegg and Truly eventually take more of a backseat to proceedings, reminiscing and pontificating from home, there's also a new third man, the charlatan Hobdyke. Billy Hardcastle claims he's a direct descendant of Robin Hood. His first appearance shows him attempting to recruit a band of merry men. However, Billy's woodland activities are restricted to daylight hours. Keith Clifford made appearances in Northern Lights, Emmerdale and Crown Court and many TV dramas. He also appeared in the TV film Vacuuming Completely Nude in Paradise. In the late 1990s he played Charlie West in Coronation Street, having previously appeared in the series as several other characters. He won a Sony Radio Gold Award in 1993 for his portrayal of the Lancashire comedian Frank Randall in the radio play Randall's Scandals. Not only does Billy believe he is related on his mother's side to the fictional folk hero Robin Hood, he also wears a costume matching the storybook image of the hero, including green tights and a hat with a feather. Nora is attracted to him dressed in his Robin Hood costume, which makes Compo jealous, so he also decides to dress up as Robin Hood using a mishmash of oddments from Auntie's shop. Billy claims he's an archer with the accuracy of his ancestor. However, he never proves his ability to hit a target. Any apparent success in archery is always accidental, hitting unintended targets like Truly's hat, Barry's flying model aeroplane and Marina's cuckoo clock. Much of Billy's dialogue bemoaned the domestic presence of the wife and the wife's sister, two characters who are never seen. In the series' 26 episode available for weddings, he says it's like the Sheriff of Nottingham was twins. Unlike Howard, he seemed to have no difficulty leaving the house to escape them. When Billy joins Clegg and Truly, much of the humour Compo previously brought to the show manifested in Billy's childlike behaviour. His attempt to navigate a raft along a stream in the series' 22 episode The Art of the Short Story, an idea that results in him getting wet, is one of his many juvenile endeavours. Keith Clifford is remarkably earnest and believable as Billy, despite claiming his relationship to a fictional hero. In the series' 26 episode, The Afterthoughts of a Co-op Manager, after an unsuccessful attempt by Alvin to jump across a stream, Billy also tries, and fails. Then in the series' 27 episode, Follow That Bottle, Alvin and Entwistle hang Billy from this bridge. Distracted, they let him go and Billy ends up in the stream. He has a penchant for getting wet. Billy changes his outfit from Robin Hood tights and tunic to khaki trousers and camouflage jacket. He says it is what Robin Hood would wear if he was alive today. In the series 22 episode, Enter the Hawk, Clegg jokes about Billy that they used to call him the Hawk. Billy then refers to himself as the Hawk. The Hawk turns out not to be so fearless. In the series 24 episode, A Pickup of the Later Ming Dynasty, he is surprised by Howard in the woods and they both run off. Billy is last seen at the end of the 27th series. Billy was never mentioned again. Entwistle is the electrician and fortune teller from the land of Eastern wisdom, Hull. He says his original surname was McIntyre, but he changed it so that people wouldn't think he was a Scotsman. Bert Kwok was born in Warrington, Lancashire, but was brought up in Shanghai, where he says he was nagged into acting by a girlfriend. He was in 2 James Bond films and The Inn of the Six Happiness, but he was best known for playing Kato Fong, Inspector Clouseau's manservant in 7 of the Pink Panther films. He was the honourable but misguided Major Yamauchi in the Second World War television drama Tenko. Kwok was appointed an Officer of the Order of the British Empire in the 2011 New Year's Honours for services to drama. Without Wesley to provide transport, the trio often rope in Entwistle to ferry them around the countryside in his Toyota pickup truck and get him involved in their schemes. Following the departure of Billy Hardcastle in Series 27, Entwistle is often paired with Alvin, and many stories revolve around their dealings with Howard or Barry. When there is a problem, Entwistle cheerfully suggests a washing machine as a remedy, unfazed by the reaction or lack of reaction to his unhelpful proposition. Despite the character being obsessed with selling a washing machine at every possible opportunity, Birkwock never overplayed his part. Entwistle is another of the married men with an unseen wife who seems to be constantly giving him grief. When not wandering about in the countryside, he hangs out at his industrial unit where he sells his fabled washing machines. He doesn't seem too much taken aback when Miss Davenport passionately kisses him in the library on one of their first encounters. He also managed to forget he is married for long enough to let her fix the engine in his van or change a wheel when he has a flat tyre. In the final two series, Entwistle becomes the second man of the new trio when Hobbo arrives. Birkwock died from cancer on the 24th of May 2016 at a hospice in Hampstead, London. Alvin Smedley becomes Nora Batty's sprightly new long-term next-door neighbour following the death of Compo and the short tenure of Tom and Mrs Avery. Brian Murphy was born in Ventnor, Isle of Wight, the son of a grocer's assistant. He was called up to do his national service at RAF Northwood. On leaving the RAF, he performed in productions by the Dramatic Society at the Borough Polytechnic Institute, now London South Bank University. Murphy was a member of Joan Littlewood's theatre workshop along with Eutha Joyce, who both appeared in the film Sparrows Can't Sing. He would later work with Eutha Joyce as George Roper in Man About the House and George and Mildred. We first meet Alvin in the Series 24 episode The Lair of the Cat Creature when he crash lands outside Clegg's house, having been trying to hang glide to France. His arrival brought a sense of the physical humour reminiscent of Compo's behaviour. He doesn't need any encouragement to act as class clown by roller skating or trying to jump across streams. It is refreshing to see Brian Murphy as enthusiastic and energetic compared to the lacklustre layabout George Roper in Man About the House and George and Mildred. Alvin moves into Compo's old home, but we will not get to see inside until Series 29. In the meantime, whenever we do see Alvin at home, he's often having breakfast on his improvised terrace, well, the path in front of his home. This does mean he's regularly able to interact with Nora when she is sweeping the path or putting washing out to dry. Although Alvin publicly claims to hate Nora Batty, he feels the need to try and bring some joy into her life. In the Series 26 episode, Hermione the Short Course, he makes comments about her underwear on the washing line. She sternly tells him that her underwear is built for durability, not for entertainment. So as well as living in Compo's old home, he has inherited Compo's playful tendencies. Nora is just as dismissive of Alvin's attention, but threatens him with the yard broom much less often than she had to with Compo, although she does occasionally throw a bucket of water over him. Murphy effortlessly encompasses the carefree, fun-loving spirit of Compo without overdoing the comedy or overshadowing his co-stars. This includes getting involuntarily wet on many occasions. In the Series 27 episode, Follow That Bottle, he tries to retrieve a bottle from this stream. Alvin falls waist deep in the water. Later, further downstream, Alvin gets wet again, falling off a ladder spanning the stream. Alvin is subjected to frequent jibes about his lack of height, mostly from Billy, but these do not seem to bother him or deter him from attempting his latest misguided enterprise. Luther Hobbo Hobdyke is a former milkman who claims he has ties to MI5. He is first introduced in the 2008 New Year special I Was a Hitman for Primrose Dairies, to set up his role in the 30th series. During the 1970s, Russ Abbott was the singer and drummer with British comedy show band The Black Abbots. They released several singles to modest chart success in the early 1970s and disbanded in 1980. Russ Abbott appeared on the 1970s Granada television show The Comedians, originally credited as Russ Roberts. Later he showcased his talents as an all-round entertainer on ITV in Russ Abbott's Madhouse and The Russ Abbott Show, with series on ITV and BBC attracting millions of viewers. Abbott won the TV Times Funniest Man on Television award 5 times. Abbott released several singles and albums as a solo artist, with the most successful of his singles, Atmosphere, peaking in the UK singles chart at number 7 in 1984. His career continued with television and stage productions. Abbott's theatre appearances include the narrator in the 2006 touring production of The Rocky Horror Show. Russ had been considered for a role in an earlier series, but he declined, later saying he wanted a meatier role. Abbott's manager didn't think that 59-year-old Russ would be keen to cast as an elderly character. He was convinced by a character synopsis written by Roy Clark which put Hobbo in his mid-50s, the average age of the original trio when the series began in 1973. Alan Bell wasn't completely happy about Hobbo being a fantasist who claimed he'd been working as a spy for MI5, but knowing that this absurdity would be scorned by Alvin and Entwistle satisfied him that they would keep the character in check. Luther Hobbo Hobdyke, conveniently or inconveniently depending on your point of view, lives here as Clegg's new next door neighbour. Hobbo used to work for Primrose Dairies. Clegg and Truly recall that Hobbo was never much of a milkman, but he was exemplary at needlework. Hobbo conscripts Alvin and Entwistle as his team. They take his leadership with a pinch of salt. Hobbo gives the impression he is incredibly cautious. He tells everyone he's a target and that Putin's people are after him. So he's always on the lookout for enemy attack, stand in the back of Entwistle's truck for a better vantage point, while making himself a much easier target to hit. Despite being the youngest, tallest and presumably the fittest of his team, Hobbo always needs assistance to climb in and out of the back of Entwistle's truck. Hobbo fondly remembers his time spent with MI5, bragging that his nickname was Ace, or was it the Shadow? He used to leap from aeroplanes and dive for cover from enemy fire. Well, at least that's what he says. He also claims to have memory loss. They only wiped the secret bits, he says, so we can conveniently remember events as current circumstances demand. Alvin reckons Hobbo's flashbacks are daydreams. Hobbo does put you in mind of Abbott's comedy spy creation, the smooth but quite dim secret agent Basildon Bond. Few of the locals are convinced by boasts of his heroic actions. He soon incurs Ivy's wrath by describing the cafe as quaint, so she nails his tie to her chopping board. One of Hobbo's first missions is to visit the library, to research who his mother is and ask Miss Davenport if she has the address of the really secret Secret Service. On another occasion he asks her for a book on untraceable poisons, but all Miss Davenport can suggest is the cookery section. In the series' 30 episode, The Mother of All Mistakes, or Is It?, Nellie overhears Hobbo saying he was looking for a Bradbury family member. As she used to be a Bradbury, she reacts. He is then convinced that Nellie is his mother and frequently bothers her, much to her annoyance. Not satisfied with insisting Nellie is his mother, he persists in trying to find a suitor for Stella, help Toby reunite with his wife and find a friend for Morton. Stella is not interested and Toby loses more than his wife as she drives off in his Jaguar with Morton. With Clegg and Truly being less involved, this was effectively a different programme with a different main cast. Russ Abbott was a popular entertainer, but despite having had previous acting roles, audiences felt his characterisation of Hobbo felt over the top. If the show had started in 2009 with this cast opinions might have differed, but Hobbo came with a legacy of 35 years of previous third men to compare with, and he did not fill the role like any of the others. Judging by the letters of complaint to the BBC's Points of View programme in May 2009, Hobbo's character might have been the final nail in the coffin for some viewers.